And now the blinded Oedipus emerges from the palace. In antiquity, this would have been performed with a mask that showed blood streaming down from both eyes. In the modern version I have on our page, you can see instead that without a mask, he's shown as having bloodied and closed eyes. Immediately, the chorus responds, and the chorus is a great indicator of how we're supposed to feel. We're supposed to feel that this is a terrible sight, never anything worse. They can't believe what he's done to himself, that some evil spirit leaped upon his life and leapt and brought him to his ill luck. We pity him, but we cannot look at him, although there's much we want to see and to ask and to learn. We shudder at the sight of you. So look at everything they're saying there. The tragic emotions are being elicited, the pity and fear. Notice, you only pity when somebody suffers a fate that is undeserving. I think it's very clear, and we're going to see this in the Dodds article we read, but Oedipus didn't deserve this, right? I mean, if we think that Oedipus is getting just punishment for what he's done, we wouldn't pity him. And we wouldn't fear that something terrible like this could happen to ourselves. So I think it's really important, this feeling of pity. But also notice that the chorus says there's something to learn here. There's something to see. There's a lesson. Oedipus's first lines are lines of disorientation. He no longer can see. And so he's getting used to a world in which he hears voices and speaks, but does not know where it's coming from because he cannot see anymore. Okay? So he explains to the chorus what he's feeling, why he blinded himself. And Oedipus clearly blames Apollo, he says, that this bitterness, my sorrows to completion. So basically saying there was a role here for fate, but the hand that struck me was none but my own. Why should I see whose vision showed me nothing sweet to see? So basically, he didn't feel like he wanted to see or should deserve to see, and that his eyes would never bring him anything pleasurable to see anymore, that nothing he sees in this world would remind him of anything good. Okay? And it goes on, and the chorus accepts that. These things are as you say, right? And Oedipus goes on, what could I see to love, right? What is there left in this world for me to love? Okay? And he asks to be taken away, send me into exile. I am an accursed man. The gods have hated me above all men. The chorus responds that it is true that he is unhappy and unfortunate. And Oedipus now lays a curse on the people who saved him, the man who saved him, the herdsman. The herdsman thought he was doing a good deed by saving this baby's life. But of course, if Oedipus had died then, he would not have been so burdensome to friends. Okay? And he wouldn't have fulfilled the prophecy, right? He wouldn't have killed his father and married his mother infamously. He is godless and child of impurity, begetter in the same seed that created my wretched self. And if there is any ill worse than ill, that is the lot of Oedipus. Excuse me. So what you see here then is Oedipus recognizing that his situation is the worst of all possible situations for a man guilty of violating the most sacredly held taboos of a society. The chorus responds to him and says that it would have been better off had you died. Why didn't you kill yourself, Oedipus, rather than go about being blind and living? Okay? And he says, look, what I did was best. And now he tries to defend why he did this. And he says that when I go to the underworld, how could I see my father? How could I see my mother? Um, Now that I'm still alive, how could I see my own children? That no sights will ever gladden me. So look at what he said there. He said, I couldn't face my dead parents in the underworld. I can't face my living children now. Um, and now he realizes that his city, its towers and sacred places, of these I robbed my miserable self when I commanded all to drive him out. So Oedipus now realizes that it was his own curse that has been that now requires him to be exiled, because he said anyone who anyone who knew anything about the killing of Laius must be exiled from this city. And it turns out that it is him. And so, because he is guilty, he can't even look upon his own people. So, all those reasons are the reasons he lists for why he blinded himself. Okay? And he says he would have gone further. He says if there were a way to choke the fountain of hearing, if there were a way to make himself deaf, he would have done that as well. Okay? Um, all right. So, and now, again, a long speech here. Just again, I mean, so often what's happening here is, and there's a lot of repetition to make absolutely clear to the audience what Oedipus is guilty of. But I think a lot of it is to also make sure, well, Oedipus is grasping this. I mean, look at what these people just learned. They just learned that their king, the former savior of the city, is now guilty of the worst crimes imaginable. So they keep repeating it. So he goes back to the crossroads where the killing happened. He said, "That's where I drank my father's blood." Right? That's metaphorical. And then he talks about the marriage, where he bred me again and again when you had bred children of your child, and showed to men brides, wives, and mothers, and the foulest deeds that can be in this world of ours. So what that's showing is all the confusion of he's brother and father to his own children, husband and son to his wife. And so he closes this long speech by saying, "I am wretched, but don't fear me, but I can bear my evil doom." Look at what he says there. No man but I can bear my evil doom. One thing that's really noticeable about Oedipus here is that he doesn't try to shirk responsibility, right? I mean, he could easily say, "Look, guys, I didn't know that the man I killed was Laius. I didn't know Jocasta was my mother. I'm innocent. Yes, I violated these taboos, but I didn't do it knowingly." But he's not at all trying to absolve himself of guilt. Instead, he accepts what he's done, even though he did it in innocence. And he says that he can bear it, and no one but him could bear it. There's a kind of nobility in that. And we've seen a nobility in Oedipus's character throughout. And now we're seeing it again here at the end.